Hey everybody, today we're going to try and tackle one of the most difficult questions in baseball, and that is heart of the hide versus pro preferred. Which is better? So stick around, we're about to go through it all. So if you've been shopping for a high-end Rawlings glove, I am sure you've encountered this exact situation, caught between the heart of the hide or the pro preferred. And today I'm going to provide you guys with all of the key information to make that really important decision. Now, the elephant in the room is that the pro preferred is going to retail for around $380, while a heart of the hide is going to be right around that $300 mark. So it's an additional $80 investment, which is a lot. So today we're going to cover all of the main differences between the two models, and I'm going to give you guys some of my personal opinions so you can make an informed decision. So let's get into it. So we have two gloves to compare right now. This is going to be a heart of the hide, and this is going to be a pro preferred, but they are the exact same length and pattern, and they both have that cool modified trapeze web, so they're going to be a great baseline to compare. Now, starting off with the heart of the hide, this is going to have that traditional steer hide from Rawlings. It is famous for being extremely durable and a really nice leather. Now, you're going to notice when you compare the two that the steer hide is a little bit thicker. There's going to be a little bit more imperfections. You might see some wrinkles in it, and it's going to be a little bit softer, not really spongy, but it's definitely a little bit more pillowy. Now we compare that to the pro preferred. This is kip leather, which comes from a younger animal. It's a little bit thinner and normally has a tighter grain, so there's going to be less imperfections in it. It's going to feel a little bit softer and just a little bit kind of more buttery and a little bit more luxurious. Now when it comes to using both the heart of the hide and the pro preferred, from personal experience, I found that the heart of the hide normally breaks in a little bit quicker just because it's a little bit softer. Especially when it's new, the ball doesn't necessarily rattle around as much inside the pocket, just is absorbed a little bit quicker by that leather. But in terms of durability, you're really not going to have an issue. Rawlings does a great job with both of these gloves, so durability isn't necessarily as much of a factor. It just comes down to how do you want your glove feeling as a player. So a second key difference between the two has to be with the inner palm lining, which is where your hand goes. So we'll start off with this heart of the hide. This is going to have the deer tanned cowhide palm lining, and that's going to feel very traditional. It's a little bit of a thicker palm lining, but it is extremely durable. The great thing about the heart of the hide is this palm lining will last forever if properly taken care of. Now, if we step up to the pro preferred, we're going to have a little bit of a more premium palm lining. This is going to be the Pittard's sheepskin palm lining, and it is noticeably softer and noticeably thinner, which is great because it really lets you feel connected with the palm because it's a thinner piece of leather. Now, the only downside to that is it's known for not being as durable as the palm liner inside of the heart of the hide. So a little bit of a trade-off. If you definitely like the luxurious, soft feel of the sheepskin lining, then the heart of the hide, the pro preferred is a great option. But if durability is what you're after, I would have to lean more towards that heart of the hide. For our next difference, we're going to have some new gloves to look at. This is going to be a heart of the hide Mike Trout and a pro preferred Mike Trout, but the same pattern and length. And this difference has to do with the wrist lining of the glove. So all heart of the hide gloves are going to have a foam wrist lining, which is generally very good for wicking away sweat and helping to keep that hand dry. Now, the pro preferreds are going to have a soft wool on the inside to provide a little bit more of a luxurious feature. Now, this is only available, this being the pro preferred, with this wool, unless you get them custom made from Rawlings. So all of the pro preferreds that you're going to generally find have that wool. Now, this is a big personal preference thing, and speaking from my own opinion, I really preferred the foam of the heart of the hide, which is why I always use the heart of the hide. The wool gets a little bit, as you sweat and as you use the glove, it can get a little bit gross. So that wasn't to my preference, but if you do a good job of taking care of your glove and cleaning that inside, you're not going to have any durability issues. It's really just a personal preference. So important to know that key difference between the two. So now let's talk about weight of the gloves. There's a lot of information out there that says maybe the pro preferred is lighter, maybe the heart of the hide is lighter. We're going to get down to it right now. We've got first baseman mitts just because they're bigger and they'll hopefully show us a great difference between the two. So we have an identical heart of the hide here. This is going to come in at 705 grams, and the same pattern, same length for a pro Pro Preferred first base mitt, and it is $737. So not a huge difference between the two. So if weight is really important to you, I would definitely recommend checking out our Rawlings Speed Shell technology video. That's where you're gonna see a big weight savings benefit on a Rawlings glove. So if that's important to you, definitely check out that information. But not a huge difference in weight between the Pro Preferred and the Heart of the Hide. So not enough to make a decision off of. Another important factor to consider is going to be break-in time. Rawlings says that the Heart of the Hides are 60% left to the player to break in. And of course, it's gonna be a little bit different. First base gloves and catcher's gloves are gonna be a little bit stiffer just due to the nature of the glove. But the Pro Preferred is 70% left to the player. So it's going to be a little bit stiffer to break in. Really noticeable with these first base and catcher's models. The fielder's gloves, there's not as big of a gap, but that is really important to know, especially if you're shopping for maybe a first base mitt or a catcher's mitt. The break-in time is a little bit more noticeable. So just something to take into consideration. So now let's talk a little bit about colors and sizing. So with the Heart of the Hide lineup from Rawlings, there are some different options available for the player. One of them is going to be the R2G technology, which basically makes the glove a little bit more broken in off the shelf. Another one is going to be the Contour Fit technology, which makes the glove a little bit more applicable for younger athletes, kind of scales the hand stall down and makes it fit their hand a little bit easier. And there's just going to be a lot more color options available with the Heart of the Hide gloves. Now, the Pro Preferred gloves are really exclusive for just the adults, so kind of high school, college, and of course professionals. There's not going to be those additional features available for the Pro Preferred. They're generally available in smaller colorway options. So if you're a high school and above athlete, the Pro Preferred is going to be a really good option for you because it's just going to fit your hand a little bit better. Now, if you're younger, maybe like entry high school and down, and you want to get a high-end Rawlings, I would definitely recommend the Heart of the Hide series, just because there's going to be some different technologies available to you to make that glove a little bit better and help you have success on the field. So there you have it. Those are the differences between the Rawlings Pro Preferred and the Heart of the Hide lineup. Now, for me personally, I was always a Heart of the Hide guy. The features that really pushed me towards the Heart of the Hide were that softer feel of that steer hide palm and then that foam wrist liner. But you can't deny that the Pro Preferreds are some of the nicest gloves available. Now, if you're interested in any of the gloves you've seen today or any glove from Rawlings, they're all available at BaseballMonkey or Monkey Sports stores. And if you have any questions, or maybe you have some experience using a Heart of the Hide or Pro Preferred, please leave them in the comments. I'm really excited to hear what you guys have to say. I hope you found this video helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.